SuperTim101 here with another build review. This series is where I go over my favorite mechs and my favorite builds, whether they are considered meta or not. And today we're going to be talking about one of the coolest mechs in the game in terms of lore, and just an effective missile mech in the game as well as the lore as well, and that is the Archer, specifically the Archer Tempest. The Archer Tempest is the Mechwarrior Online version of the Archer that belonged to Morgan Kell, the leader of the Kellhounds. And he did some really cool things with the Archer. He was considered one of the best mech pilots ever, especially with his signature Archer. One of the stories that is sort of mythical in the Battletech lore is the Phantom Mech stories, where Morgan Kell sort of disappears from the radar of his enemies. Even if he's right in front of his enemies, it's impossible for them to target him, and when they shoot at him, all of their shots go wide and they can't hit him. And these sorts of stories were written before the lore of Battletech was really set in stone, really before it became much more of a kind of a hard sci-fi, and it had some more this kind of mythical or fantastical elements in it. So there have been some in-universe explanations since then of like, well, how did this happen? How was he able to do that? If fantasy is kind of off the table. And one of the explanations is that he found a stash of lost tech, namely ECM, that allowed him to basically turn off his opponent's targeting computers and make him basically unhittable. And this was, 20 years before that sort of technology became widely available, or even available at all. So this was sort of very surprising. Now, that's never been confirmed, but it's a kind of a cool story and a kind of a cool piece of the very early days of the Battletech lore. So that is the Archer Tempest, again, piloted by Morgan Kell. Now, I really like this mech because it has a lot of different capabilities. So why don't we jump into the mech lab and check it out. First thing I want to do is look at the quirks. We've got energy heat minus 5%, MRM velocity plus 10%, missile heat generation minus 10%, and a cooldown of minus 10%. So the quirks are actually pretty decent. It also has armor quirks as well for some survivability. But even though it is quirked for MRMs, and it is actually a very good MRM mech, you run dual MRM 40 in it with some small lasers like you would the Marauder 9M, or you run MRM 30s with some medium lasers. I'm actually running 2LRM15. So the reason for that is because, to me, the Archer feels like a long-range fire support mech. That's what the sort of standard Archer is, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with the Tempest as well. And the ECM, there it is, the ECM, Phantom Mech, adds a layer of survivability that can kind of keep you a little bit more hidden from people who are trying to push the LRM boats in the back, etc. I run 5.5 tons of LRM ammo, one here in the right torso, and that's why I have case here as well. Light engine 300 for 69.4 kph, which is pretty decent for a 70-ton mech. And then I've got 6 medium lasers. You could run a tag in one of these spots here on your arms to run 5 medium lasers, a little bit better on heat. It also helps you keep targets on ECM mechs, because ECM is everywhere, as you will see in the game. I also run a Beagle active probe, and the reason it's 1.5 tons and 2 slots, so it takes up a lot of room and a lot of tonnage, but it does counter ECM. What that means is that when an ECM mech is close to you, your sensors are not going to be countered. You get that low signal on you. You might get the low signal, but you're not going to be countered by being in that low signal. You'll still be able to get locks. So that's really useful for an LRM mech if you can fit it. But what you'll notice in the game is that there is a ton of ECM around, and that's still true. More and more mechs get ECM, more and more ECM you will encounter out in the wild. So these 6 medium lasers become sort of, in some ways, a main armament. But don't discount the LRM15s. They do have a good cooldown, they have a good tonnage and good heat for the payload that they carry. So that is the build. Let's jump into the skills to see what we're running there. It's a little bit unconventional, this build. I'm not really sure what I was thinking exactly when I was going through it, but this is the build that I was using in the game, so let's just go with it. Quite a bit into firepower. We've got, of course, the missile nodes. No laser duration because it is supposed to be kind of a backup weapon, although I use it quite a bit. Almost full heat gen, almost full range, and full cooldown. You can take actually quite a bit of cooldown out and put in other things if you want some velocity for your missiles, if you want more heat gen, or some other nodes as we go down the tree. But this is what I was using in the game. So the full survivability, skeletal density, and armor hardening for hit points. We've got full cool run and full heat containment for better heat management. Full target decay. This is good on LRM mechs because it lets you keep your target lock for longer, even if you lose line of sight or your allies lose line of sight as well. Of course, the ECM nodes for ECM. 1 radar deprivation just to get that cockpit flash. I'm not running any into seismic sensor. I'd probably make that change now, is to put at least 1 seismic sensor here. And then, of course, the 1 consumable for the UAV and the cool shot. That is the build. Let's jump into a game, and I hope you enjoy.
Kappa is under enemy control. We have Gamma. Enemy forces have Sigma. We have gained Epsilon.
Wow, they're already on Theta.
Theta is controlled by the enemy.
We're engaged.
Delta 3 Summoner.
Target acquired.
Target spotted.
New target acquired.
Target spotted.
Summoner saw me, I'm getting out of here.
New target
Target spotted.
acquired.
Target spotted. Target spotted. Target spotted.
New target acquired.
Target spotted.
Rating Bravo.
New target acquired.
How annoying.
UAV up, Delta 3.
Target spotted.
Gamma. Fafner.
New target acquired. New target acquired.
A lot of ECM.
Target spotted.
Charlie.
New target
Fleet.
acquired. New target acquired.
Target spotted. 25%. Target spotted.
New target acquired.
Target spotted. Target spotted. Assistance.
My God, I don't think I've hit anything with my missiles.
No, it's tracking into a building.
Target spotted. Target spotted.
Hard push to the right, Charlie 3 to Charlie 4, watch out.
Yeah. Oh, I
Target
hit some.
spotted.
Okay.
Target spotted. Need assistance.
Easier.
We've
New
already gained
target
a quarter of the
acquired.
resources. Keep it up.
Ooh, dang, something was locked onto me.
Target spotted.
That ain't preferable.
Into the wall. Okay, good.
There's a Fafnir I'm gonna go kill.
Target
New
spotted.
target
Affirmative.
acquired.
Target spotted.
God, everything is hitting the wall.
New target
Need
acquired.
assistance. Target spotted. Target spotted.
Got it.
Right towards 1 Alpha.
There's a Fafnir out of the game.
Alpha.
Target
Nope,
spotted.
right into the wall. God.
UAV up and right above Theta.
They have resource
New
point
target
Gamma.
acquired.
Target spotted.
Legs on Charlie.
Harbinger in the back lines.
Hostiles have collected 50% of their resources. Capture resource points.
I'm gonna go grab Kappa.
New target acquired.
Sounds good.
Heat level critical. New target acquired.
Target spotted. Target spotted. Target
Ooh,
spotted.
we got a hit.
Not my best game, but necessary.
Target spotted.
Right torso critical damage.
Target spotted. Target spotted. Target spotted.
target
Target spotted.
acquired.
Target spotted.
Here we go, Steve.
Command confirming that we have possession of Kappa. We have Gamma.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna go get Sigma.
Target spotted.
New target acquired.
I'm gonna go take Sigma.
Target destroyed.
Target spotted.
Target acquired.
Target
Target
spotted.
destroyed.
Point Beta is ours.
LRM destroyed. Heat sink destroyed.
Still fleet up before.
Target spotted. Target spotted. Target spotted.
Target acquired.
Need assistance. Target
New
spotted.
target acquired.
Halfway to victory. We need to keep holding on to our resource points.
Target destroyed.
Nice.
I don't think that this win can be credited to me whatsoever.
We've captured resource point Sigma.
Tyrus Bane is legs.
We've gathered enough
Nice.
resources.
Beautiful.
This triumph will provide us
I don't think I did very much
Good
well
work.
that game.
Well, if you take out a big guy, that makes a huge difference.
That's true, I did take out a Fafnir.
Yep.
Oh, well,
I mean,
521.
that is nothing to sneeze at.
2 KMVs. I guess I did better than I thought I would do.
I want to do a quick recap of that game. I thought it highlighted that even if there's a bunch of ECM hanging around, if you are a active LRM mech, you can go in with your backup lasers, or in this case, 6 mediums is a pretty substantial amount of damage you can put out, and continue to contribute to your team. So it was top 5 on the hold game on damage. It was a little bit of a low damage game in general, but still top 5 is no slouch. And get into the fight. You're a 70-ton heavy mech. You have some armor you can share. I took over 400 damage and was still pretty healthy. So one thing to note that I forgot to mention at the beginning is that these are missile bay doors. So when these are closed, you're taking I think like 20% less damage in your side torsos. So you actually are pretty tanky for a 70-ton heavy mech. But certainly continue to get into the fight. I even dumbfired some missiles sometimes, especially against that awesome. I think I hit him twice. One with like a full volley, and then one like half of them hit him. So like if you know the sort of effective range of your LRMs, you can fire dumbfire sometimes, as long as you're within the minimum range, and still deal damage to your opponents. So get in there, get into the fight, be an active LRM mech, not just a passive one that sits in the backs and hopes that your team will get locks, because like in that game, there's just way too much ECM. There's no way I was getting locks. So I also thought it was fun watching that little Pirate's Bane run around. I totally didn't see him at first. If you noticed that, like I did not track him at all when I was in thermals, and he ran right past me. Didn't even see him, and it took me a second. So that map is actually really good for stealth mechs, because they kind of disappear in that way. But it's a great mech. Be an active LRMer, and use those lasers to their most effective when you can't get your LRMs online. So that was the build. That was the game. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. And if you like this content, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thanks, and have a great day.